Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where we explore the latest trends and innovations in the world of technology. And today, I'm excited to have Justin Banon, CEO and founder of Boson Protocol, joining us on the podcast. And he's going to be discussing the power of token-gated commerce and NFTs in driving long-term customer engagement. And in recent years, major brands have been turning to loyalty programs as a means to build lasting relationships with customers. But customers are demanding something different from those traditional loyalty programs that seem to offer very little or arguably no reward in many cases. So now, with the rise of NFTs, a new breed of loyalty program is taking over and offering a whole different level of exclusivity and engagement. And with the Boson Protocol's innovative use of NFTs, brands are creating decentralized alternatives to traditional e-commerce and essentially offering consumers unique experiences, events and content that they can access by purchasing NFTs. So in this episode, Justin will discuss how brands are implementing token-gated commerce to build new relationships with customers, with the potential to create longer-lasting benefits for consumers, and how the Boson Protocol's latest release, V2 of their decentralized app, is enabling brands to kickstart their tokenized loyalty programs. So buckle up and hold on tight, because it's time for me to beam your ears all the way to the UK, where Justin Banon is waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil. Great to be here. So my name's Justin Banon. I'm one of the co-founders of Boson Protocol. So I started out doing a physics degree, and then I started working for a company who sold like airport lounge visits as paper and plastic vouchers. And I started doing like a digital innovation master's whilst working there really early, and thought, okay, what happens if we create like digital vouchers? Well, this turned out to be quite a good idea, because I ended up sort of leading that business and scaling it like 20x from like $50 to $1 billion turnover, selling these kind of like digital vouchers for physical things. And then for my sins, I studied another master's, this time in blockchain. And I thought, you know, what happens if we move from paper and plastic to digital and now to blockchain? So, you know, the question was, how to tokenize like physical assets as redeemable like blockchain vouchers. And so, you know, I left Priority Pass in the middle of the last crypto winter and co-founded Boson.
Fantastic. What a great backstory. And as you said there, that path led you to Boson Protocol, which is a project that uses NFTs to create a decentralized alternative to e-commerce and loyalty programs, etc. So can I ask that you introduce the listeners to the kind of problems that you're solving with this tech and, as they say on Reddit, in a language everyone can understand, or should I say, explain it to me like I'm 5?
Sure. So, you know, we see the internet evolving into this sort of like internet of value, if you like a medium for exchanging all types of value and assets. And if you look at how the internet has developed, you know, we've progressively been able to exchange more and more types of assets over it. So with the very first iteration of the web, you know, we could send data to others in a peer-to-peer way, you know, without any intermediaries or gatekeepers, and we can still do that, right? We can exchange files, and you know, it's pretty straightforward. But you know, with the rise of crypto, we're now able to send money, a monetary value, in the form of cryptocurrency to each other directly, again, without gatekeepers or intermediaries. And in a way that if I send you one Bitcoin, there's no one that, including me, that can sort of reverse or rescind that, right? And so we see this trend with all types of value. Now, the problem we solve is how to enable this kind of fair exchange of physical products in a similar way. So without intermediaries like Amazon, and without the need to trust counterparties, just, you know, using code. And, you know, it's not obvious actually as to whether that's possible. There was quite a, you know, big question as to whether that was even a possible task. But this is the problem that Boson set about solving, assembled, a team of about 5 or 6 PhDs, and, solved. We're now on version 2 of the protocol. We've got World Economic Forum technology pioneer status for this breakthrough. And so, with Boson, you can tokenize physical products and services as redeemable NFTs, and then you transfer or trade these NFTs, for physical assets, just like any other NFT. And so all the while, Boson provides these strong guarantees for buyers that either they'll receive the physical asset or get their money back. So, if you and I didn't know each other, didn't, trust each other, and you wanted to sell, I don't know, your motorbike, you could put that into Boson as an offer. I could go and accept the offer, lock up my funds, and only if I received the motorbike to, the agreed upon terms would you get paid. And if there was a dispute, then Boson handles that. Yeah. Without intermediaries and without the need for these sort of trusted counterparties.
And I'm curious, as someone that's working right in the heart of this space, how are you seeing brands implementing things like token-gated commerce to build new relationships with customers and maybe even offer unique loyalty programs and exclusive experiences? Because that seems to be a big space and a lot of opportunity around there. But are there any high-profile examples that you've seen or anything you can share?
Yeah, what we're seeing at the moment is, I would describe it, when we saw the first sort of iterations of the web, when e-commerce first came along, e-commerce was a travel agent creating a one-page website that just with one page that says, if you'd like to book travel, call this number and book an appointment and come into the high street, right? So it was e-commerce, but it wasn't using the true power of e-commerce, which was actually, you didn't need a high street store. You could do all that transactions on, it was, and so, I think we've seen some similar sort of programs. So, most famous one is Starbucks loyalty program, which again, I think is a great program for driving an awareness and kind of mass adoption. But essentially, it's a Web 2 program built on blockchain. And what I mean by that is that, just because you give someone an NFT that's redeemable for some benefit doesn't, it could be any file format. So like, I could give you a piece of paper with exactly the same properties or a digital, like I used to issue all these digital vouchers. The file format is not the thing, right? Yeah. It's that when you use blockchains properly, when you've got this file, you have got this strong and verifiable claim on the underlying asset. When you've got Bitcoin, no one can take it off of you. When you've got a Boson poucher, either you get the item or your money back. And so, we're seeing this first foray with, using the file formats, but not using the underlying power, which really, which really gives customers assets, and also gives customers, the rules of these loyalty programs, could become immutable and are not subject to change. Like so many of these loyalty programs, suddenly it's like, we don't use your points by Christmas, you do, or suddenly halving the value of the points or changing all the rules. That is the power of Web3. So we're actually working to create loyalty programs where the benefits are like immutably encoded, where the value is irreversible, and where users actually hold these assets in the same way as you hold a Bitcoin, rather than a kind of loose reversible IOU. Yeah.
Just to bring to life what you're talking about here, can you talk a little about the potential to create lasting benefits for consumers who purchase NFTs through granting access to things like events, contents, and so much more? Again, lots of opportunities there, right?
Sure. Well, the thing about the big difference with using like Web3 and blockchains is that this underlying, like the underlying sort of substrate or platform upon which you're developing these products and programs is programmable, right?
Yeah.
So when I, previously in the loyalty industry, we would create, a voucher that you could give someone, but then the rules as to who gets what were encoded within some separate loyalty engine that would compute that and then, say whether you could have this voucher or not. Whereas with Boson and blockchains now, we can encode all those rules directly into this kind of like smart voucher. So to give you, an idea, you could have you could have a loyalty program for a baseball team, and if you do certain things like the things that the baseball team wants you to do, like you buy a season ticket, you go here, you buy a shirt, you're participating, you can earn points or some sort of loyalty currency, or you could get awarded like badges and tiers, which would normally be NFTs instead of cards and etc. And then these sort of badges and NFTs can be used then to unlock benefits, right? In the same way that your membership card for, an airline frequent flyer program enables you to unlock benefits like, special discounts on flights or being able to redeem, points for flights, etc. These NFTs unlock these benefits. But then these benefits themselves are delivered via NFTs as well, right? So NFTs are like unique digital objects, but they don't need to be sort of dumb, flat, static objects like NFT are. They can also be quite smart, programmable objects. So we can replace membership cards and keys with NFTs that then go and unlock bundles of benefits, right? So here's one NFT because you're a gold tier, and now you can go and unlock this other NFT, which is a Boson redeemable NFT. And that redeemable NFT is a basket. You're a baseball fan, gold tier level, unlock that basket. You've got an NFT ticket. You've got a redeemable NFT, redeemable for a physical like shirt when you go to the game. You've got another redeemable NFT that maybe unlocks a digital file recording of the game. You've got another NFT that might give you access to a special community and other benefits, and all these things can kind of change. So essentially, all of these rules can be encoded directly within this kind of unique digital object, and all of these things can be kind of linked together, what we call composably in Web3, to sort of create kind of what we call programmable loyalty commerce.
And I know there's a lot of businesses and brands revamping their loyalty programs at the moment. I think audiences expect a little bit more than those historic offerings. And the problem is when they hear talk about NFTs and these new ways of doing things, it sounds exciting, it sounds incredible, but they don't know where to start. So for those people listening, can you tell me a little bit more about how Boson and that dApp that you have there enables brands to kickstart their tokenized loyalty programs by building it on your protocol? Is that right?
Yeah, well, Boson Protocol is this open, decentralized, permissionless technology. And anybody could come and build on that, either, use our SDKs and widgets and build their own tech, or come and become a seller on the dApp. And that's all, completely open. However, there are, for a lot of brands, they A, want to do things at scale, and B, they don't necessarily have those technical capabilities to be able to implement that. So we work with a whole network of sort of trusted suppliers and integrators. So for example, we are launching version 2 of our metaverse commerce widget, which enables you to sell physical items in Decentraland. We're launching it a couple of weeks' time at Metaverse Fashion Week in Decentraland. And we're working with 4 or 5 of the top metaverse builders. And so, partners come to us, we will consult with them, help, and then can introduce them to a metaverse builder that can build a whole activation for them, and we will then plug in the technology. So, on the one hand, we provide lots of support to brands and partners and sellers that want to use Boson, but also stimulating the ecosystem of integrators and builders that are that are able to plug Boson into these sort of experiences and like marketplaces and websites, etc.
So I'm curious, where does a brand begin to work with you? Could you possibly walk me through a client story just to bring that to life?
So typically we will get a request through our website at bosonprotocol.io, and then one of the partnership team speak to the brand, talk about those different opportunities, help develop their strategy and opportunities. And then from then, we will bring in, whether it's specialist website developers that can integrate Web3 commerce into their website, or, some of our internal team to support them, or metaverse builders. And we basically are like this kind of glue to ensure that brands, A, develop the right, winning strategy, and B, then work with the right kind of service providers to execute that strategy successfully.
And of course, in these uncertain times, there's a lot of economic uncertainty at the moment. It feels like every tech project comes under close scrutiny. It has to be value-led. It has to show tangible benefits. So for anybody listening, can you offer maybe a before and after picture, just to enable any business leader listening to help them understand what the ROI of that project could be?
Yeah, I mean, one very strong use case that we have with Boson Protocol is sort of premium wines and spirits. It's a great use case because essentially what Boson does by sort of tokenizing these physical assets into, something that is basically a forward contract. It's a commitment between buyer and seller to transact at a certain price within a certain time frame. But it creates this financial instrument. And so that's very interesting if you've got 1,000 cases of special whiskey that's going to mature in 10 years time. You can pre-sell that. You can tokenize it as NFTs and then pre-sell that using the NFT secondary market infrastructure. And with Boson Protocol, as those NFTs trade and maybe, change hands over that period of time, the original seller will get royalties on those secondary sales. And then, so, these things are tokenized as NFTs and cases of whiskey, let's say, the original sellers get secondary royalties as well as the primary sale. And then eventually this thing someone will buy and actually redeem it. Because you can have all of these buyers that are just exchanging the financial instrument. Eventually, maybe shortly before the whiskey's ready to actually distribute and sell, someone will actually buy that NFT, hit redeem, and take possession of the item. So that's a great example, and it kind of fuses the concept of e-commerce with more financial instruments. It's almost like a bond, right? That has a maturity date, and so that the combination of this kind of financialization of physical assets with these sort of perpetual royalties is really, really interesting for that use case and can drive a lot more value for someone selling that whiskey because, obviously they get the money early, but also they're getting these secondary, royalties on secondary sales as well.
It really does feel like we're in a somewhat of a transitional moment at the moment because if we look at, as we record this podcast today, traditional banking is struggling in certain parts of the world, and there's lots of money going into Bitcoin, causing the price to spike, and that's just one element of it. Of course, we're looking at Apple. I've got a new headset on the horizon, a lot of interest in VR, AR, and mixed reality as well. So I'm curious though, what excites you about the future of Web3?
Well, obviously, look, I'm sort of part geeky academic and part sort of, commercial businessman and love both aspects of that. But for me, we are at this transition point, and between an old, very analog, economy. We're currently, we're sort of exiting this, I would call it a sort of a dumb digital economy, right? So if you think about money, we used to exchange dollar bills, right?
Yeah.
They were analog, they were dumb. And then we got to the stage where we would exchange maybe digital dollars and pay for things with credit cards. It was digital, but it was dumb, right? It was just a simple linear transaction. But now we're getting to a stage where the value that we exchange can be programmable, right? And so we did some research with probably the world's leading blockchain economist, Professor Jason Potts, on what impact would technologies like Boson Protocol have on the future? And basically he was talking about is that, now that we can tokenize all the world's physical products and services into this like common interoperable format, and then list them within a single public ledger, and then enable all of these sort of market transactions with low trust and all governed by rules that are encoded and enforced by blockchains. He talked about moving from sort of dumb digital, kind of capital, if you like, to like programmable commerce, right? So we talked about all these like loyalty rules that were previously over here, and we can now program the value transfers between us to have rules and be programmable. And so Professor Potts talks about this future programmable economy and computable economy, so that the economy itself is no longer just dumb value transfers, but it's like a computer that's got these kind of conditional, we're able to program it like a computer. And of course, that is a total phase change from this historic analog dumb economy, digital dumb economy, to this future sort of smart programmable economy. And I think, that's going to be one of the biggest transitions economically, technologically, and for our species of all time.
Incredibly cool and exciting where we're heading at the moment. And my plan today was to offer everyone an overview of what you guys are doing, demystify the technology and help businesses understand how they can get involved. But of course, I'm also aware we're going to have loyal members of your community listening who are maybe hoping for a teaser or two. So what's your big focus for this year? What can everyone listening expect from you this year? And are there any teasers that you can leave your community that might just be listening?
Yeah, well, having completed the build of version 2 of the protocol last November, this is kind of, it's the full production grade protocol. Now, the vast majority of our resources are focused on building bridges between that protocol and mass adoption. So we are building bridges to plug into major e-commerce systems, marketplaces, and really everything we're doing is about adoption. So what, the team are really kind of working on and building now is, things like products like Boson Enterprise, which is part of this bridge. And then this product Boson Enterprise is then going to be plugging into, one after the other, these sort of e-commerce systems. So it's very much like a kind of channel distribution play. Rather than trying to pick up thousands and thousands of brands, we want to plug into distribution channels, but, like e-commerce systems, marketplace infrastructure, big metaverse builders, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're working on. And, we will be, announcing and releasing news of each of those, at the right time.
And another thing I'd like to say on this space before I let you go is that there seems to be a constant pressure on everyone to be in a state of continuous learning. The space moves at 1 million miles an hour and it's not going to get any slower. So I've got to ask, as someone that's working in this space, where or how do you self-educate and keep up to speed with the trends, etc.?
As my wife would say, do you ever have a conversation with anyone that doesn't involve blockchain, right? But so I'm absolutely immersed in it. I mean, we've got some of the smartest people in blockchain in the world, and we have our internal channels with like share articles and and then obviously Twitter, and so I just have I'm immersed in all of this. I have to just select, because I've only got a certain amount of time, what I can read, podcasts, etc. So I guess being immersed in crypto Twitter and our own internal channels, I've always got a backlog of these amazing things that it's not like when I was growing up, you'd have to go to like the library or buy, books and stuff. Now it's just amazing. YouTube, all these various different podcast channels. You can just learn all the time. And if you're a geek and enjoy doing that, then, you do as I do, which is just kind of, as I'm going off to sleep, I'm listening to, Bankless or this or that, and love it.
Yeah, you and me both. Absolutely. I feel quite privileged to have that ability now. We think we must be of a similar age, and I too grew up in that era where you have to go to the library for information, and now you've got access to as much as you can consume. It's simply breathtaking. And for anyone listening that wants to find out more about the Boson Protocol, or find your team online, or join your community, I'm conscious there are so many different domain names out there at the moment. What's the best starting point for everything?
The starting point is our website, bosonprotocol.io, which have links to our Telegram, our Discord, all of our kind of community channels. We're about to do a big event in Decentraland for Metaverse Fashion Week, where we launch this metaverse commerce widget. So that's a great place to kind of learn about Boson and join the community.
Well, as I said at the very beginning of the podcast, I think the world of customer loyalty programs are desperately in need of a big revamp. For me, I just love listening to how brands are implementing token-gated commerce, building new relationships with customers by offering these unique loyalty programs and exclusive experiences. And so much scope for there, from purchasing that NFT through granting access to events, content, and much more. So many big talking points, but just thank you for sharing your story and bringing the topic to life today.
It's a pleasure. I mean, one thing I would add in as sort of a watch this space is there's been a sort of pre-announcement that Amazon are going to be offering NFTs for physical things and opening an NFT marketplace. And, obviously we directly compete with Amazon, but this is great for us because in much the same way that Facebook, Meta, making that announcement that they were kind of doubling down on the metaverse. I mean, it created a huge zeitgeist and wave of public awareness for the metaverse. It was great for decentralized projects like Decentraland and the Sandbox. And so we see this summer a real raising of public awareness and zeitgeist for decentralized and NFT based physical commerce. So watch this space.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Watch this space indeed. So much going on at the moment, right? And it's all unraveling before our eyes. It might be great to get you back on later in the year, see how things are evolving. But again, thanks for joining me today, Justin.
Thanks, Neil. Pleasure.
I think it's important to remember that September last year, the world's most successful loyalty program, Starbucks, made incredible waves in the media as it became one of the first brands to introduce NFTs in Starbucks Odyssey. And since then, major brands such as Disney and Adidas have all taken this leap in an attempt to drive longer-term community engagement. And research shows that the worldwide customer loyalty management market is valued at more than $5.5 billion and is expected to surpass $24 billion by 2028. So at a time where so many companies are looking at revamping the loyalty programs that they offer, it was great to hear this refreshing approach around using NFTs and offering consumers unique experiences, events and content that they can access, etc. A little bit more than a 5% off voucher code, if you know what I mean. But if you're a company that's exploring how you can revamp your loyalty program, what did you think of everything we talked about today? I'd love to hear more on this. So please email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram @Neil C. Hughes. And I also invite you to join me again tomorrow. We'll discuss a completely different topic on how technology is transforming an area of business. So hopefully you'll join me again then, but a big thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.